My name is Thomas Glave, and I'm one of the founding members of the Jamaica Forum for Lesbians, All Sexuals, and Gays, JFLAG. And I'm here today in JFLAG headquarters, and I'm going to be reading to you from an essay that I wrote about 6 years or so ago that appears in my anthology, Our Caribbean, a gathering of lesbian and gay writing from the Antilles. When I wrote this essay, I was thinking particularly of JFLAG and all the brave work, all the hard work that people dedicated to JFLAG and freedom and liberty in Jamaica have thought of and sacrificed their time and their energy for toward making a more expansive, more free Jamaica. And so our individual and collective spirits rustled together years ago when in Kingston, Jamaica, a small group of us, against all odds and good sense, but possessed of hope and faith, decided to form the Jamaica Forum for Lesbians, All Sexuals, and Gays, or JFLAG, as we came to be and still are known. We had obviously begun to believe, even if we hadn't completely acknowledged, that dreams of one kind or another invariably anticipate both hope and faith, the roots of all political civic action. Hope that we could engender social and political change in a nation that, broadened through our efforts, would ultimately be worthy of all Jamaicans, a nation welcoming to all, irrespective of sexuality and perceived gender transgressions. Faith that our fellow Jamaicans would civilly receive us, extend to us, and in so extending themselves to us, grow. Grow into the nation we had and still have to achieve. The island of mountains that has produced the likes of Paul Bogle and Marcus Garvey, yet continues to wage vicious war upon itself through the very violence their visions deplored. Grow into the nation that could produce lights, brilliant lights like Nanny and Claude McKay, Bob Marley and the Manleys, Edna Manley, Norman Washington Manley, and Michael Manley, and Miss Lou Bennett Coverley and Rex Nettleford, and more and more and more. Grow with our talent, our power, our fortitude, our faith, our hope into a better, stronger, more free, more equitable, more promising, more future Jamaica. I think that some of the greatest achievements that JFLAG has done to date have to do very much, I think, with just maybe something that's more subtle, actually, is changing the course of public discourse and thought in Jamaica so that people actually can say gay and lesbian and can think about lesbian and gay and bisexual and all sexual now and transgender in a time when previously this was a sort of undiscussable, unspeakable kind of topic, right? It couldn't be talked about. And the relationship of those identities and ways of being sexual beings to gender and gender transgression, right? So that the discourse has changed amongst citizens and the discourse has changed in the government, and JFLAG has, of course, as we know, taken on Parliament as well to try to advocate for the change and the repeal of laws that are actually British colonial laws that legislate against the homo, if you will, body, you know? So I think that in this sense, there's been a profound sea change, just in terms of public discourse and also in terms of the way that the laws are being now challenged, right? That is really, you know, a sign of real empowerment that JFLAG feels that it actually can do this, right? And it's saying, this is our country, and we have the right to go to government and say we want the laws changed. JFLAG is actually at the helm of the most radical kind of activism and humanity and humanitarian work. It's not just activism, it's actually humanitarian work because it takes humanity and Jamaican humanity and Caribbean humanity in particular into the future, being inclusive of all the people who have historically been overlooked and cast aside and abused. And in particular, those people are women, transgender people, and homosexuals in general, who are seen as being on the margins. And yet, we're very much at the center of the discussion that we ourselves are creating and furthering in Jamaica and expanding the way that Jamaica thinks about itself as a nation. The most important thing that JFlag is actually doing right now is the visibility issue, because the invisibility, as I've said elsewhere, that the fact that GFM was actually around in the 1970s, although I would have been quite young, but I didn't know about it, right? What would it have meant for me to actually have access to that and to the Jamaica Daily News, right? Even if in deepest secrecy. And what would it mean to so many of us here in Jamaica to have access to an organization like JFlag, right? But now, because JFlag and other organizations are more visible in a different age, it is possible. I think it's really easy for people to get involved in activism because there are so many things going on in Jamaica now, more than there were 15 years ago. And speaking for myself, from my own experience, I never thought of myself as an activist. I just helped do what everybody else wanted to work on. And I think that if we can stay, if you're a young person coming in now, a young person in the community at large, and you want a place for yourself to think about how to make Jamaica a more inclusive, free-thinking, open-minded country that we can all be even more proud of, aside from our athletic and intellectual accomplishments, right? How do we do that? Well, somebody else isn't going to do that for you. So you have to be part of that, right? Gandhi said, Mahatma Gandhi, we have to become part of the change that we wish to see in the world. So that's very much the case in terms of Jamaica and LGBT activism as well. Just come and work and do your part, whatever your part might be. Art, organizing, right? Clerical work, whatever it is, all parts contribute to the whole.
I pledge my heart forever to serve with humble pride this shining homeland ever, so long as earth abide. I pledge my heart this island as God and faith shall live. My work, my strength, my love, and my loyalty to give. Oh, green, I love the Indies, Jamaica strong and free. Our vows and loyal promises are